that you have, just put that in the comment box. We'll get those to them. Make sure that you stay on afterward for a quick, brief survey. We'll get that to you. It'll take you less than 90 seconds to do that. And also, there will be no office hours for the leadership team. We've got a scheduling conflicts with some things there, so that will not be offered. But again, back to the hiring and certifying of CTE instructors, we've got the dynamic duo here, Tim Elliott and Rick Gilman. And let me tell you, folks, Tim and Rick, you're not going to find, look at them right there, you're not going to find two better dressed guys in the office day in and day out than these two. Tim's always rocking a vest, sometimes a bow tie. Rick has never worn, look at this, here we go. He's getting ready to prove my point here. Rick has matching face masks and tie combos. And let me tell you, since the governor made the mask mandate back last summer, Rick has never worn the same tie and mask combo ever. You see it one day and it's never again. So he's taken all of Kathy's retirement checks and buying masks and ties on that. But anyhow, these guys here, last thing I want to say about them, but these guys are like the Ric Flairs of the office when you look at how they dress. They really are the style and profile and limousine ride and jet fly and kiss stealing, wheeling dealing son of a guns. And they're just such a joy to work with. I'm going to quit talking because if I talk too long, then our ratings go down. And Clinton tells me not to talk so much. But you won't hear me MC this again till next fall. So I'm going to take all the chance I have this last time. Tim and Rick, I'm going to let you guys take it over. Hiring, certifying CT instructor guys, it's yours.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I'm glad we saved the best for last of the 2021 school year. I'm just going to give a quick overview of the process, and then we're going to hand it over to our resident expert, Tim Elliott, to get down into the nitty-gritty on what you guys are going to do. So to start off, Policy 5202 governs CTE certification. When your teachers go on permit, which is the first thing they'll go on, you can look at Section 11.3. When they go on certificate, you can look at Section 10.10. And when you're looking at salary classifications, you can go to Section 22.3. And again, that's Policy 5202. So whenever you're looking at hiring a CTE teacher or person for your classes, one of the things you're going to look for is relevant work experience. When I say relevant work experience, we're talking about relevant to the endorsement that you're requesting. If it's carpentry or ProStart, whatever that is, it's got to be relevant work experience to that, and it's got to be notarized by the previous employer on Form V10, which Tim will cover a little bit more on that later. If they have a degree, a college degree, whether it be associates or bachelor's or higher, they've got to have 4,000 hours or 2 years relevant work experience. If they do not have a degree, they've got to have 8,000 hours or 4 years relevant work experience. Now, if they own their own business, we can still hire them and get them on permit. We just have to see Schedule Cs for that required time that mentions their business with their signature on the Schedule Cs from their tax form. Okay, industry certification. You want to make sure that you check out the CTE endorsement testing manual. Look for the endorsement you're requesting and see what the industry certification is they must hold. They need to have a current certification. There's a couple of exceptions, maybe the automotive. If your automotive teacher comes in and they have expired ASEs, we can give them a year to renew them. So there's a couple of exceptions, but make sure and check out that CTE endorsement and testing manual online. They have to pass a basic skills exam. That's based on the California Achievement Test. It's about an 8th level in reading, writing, and math. There's 2 different score levels. When they get their scores back, they either met for permit or they met for certificate. Now we can put them on permit if they score in that range for permit, but they have to score permit level on all 3 areas. Before they can move from permit, they have to score on certificate level on all 3 areas. So if you've got an employee that scored reading and writing on certificate level, but still a permit level on math, before they can move to certificate, they have to retake that test and score at that level on the math. So they've got to have all 3 levels. Let's see, they've got to have current industry credentials, like we said, certifications. Some counties actually give the BSE, the basic skills exam, to those that have applied and they've decided they maybe want to interview them. They'll give the basic skills exam, and then that'll be their hiring pool, those that scored at least the permit level. You don't have to do it that way, just some counties do that way. That way you alleviate the problem of putting somebody in the classroom and then they can't pass the basic skills level at a certain, in that certain time frame, and then you have to go out and find to replace them in the classroom. The different levels that Tim's going to talk about a little bit later. You first go on the initial permit. That's good for 1 year at a time. Then you renew it. You can renew it every year up to 5 years. If you can't meet all of the requirements for a certificate, then you're going to have to find somebody else, because policy tells us now you've got 5 years to do your permit. To move from an initial permit or renewal permit to certificate, you've of course got to score the certificate level on the basic skills. You've got to pass the written and performance NOCTI, and you have to complete the 18 hours teacher educator program through Marshall. And let's see, the initials, once you complete all those, you can go to the initial certificate, CTE certificate, which is good for 5 years. In that 5-year time frame, you've got to take at least 6 credit hours from college. You can take 2 West Virginia Learns certificates, or you can take a combination of the 2, 3 credit hours on transcript, 3 or 1 West Virginia Learns. But within that 5 years, they have to take that to renew their certificate. Certificates are good for 5 years. So once you renew it, you've got another 5 years. You've got to do that same thing, and then you can apply for your permanent certificate. So now, after the big overview, now we'll let our resident expert, Tim Elliott, take over and get you guys to the nitty-gritty on which forms to use. And remember, if you have any questions, call Tim, call me. We'll point you in the right direction. Tim?
Thank you, Mr. Goodman. So what we're going to try to go over today are our V9s, V7s, the V7Rs, what it looks like when we send out a hold notice, and a V14. So when we are going through a V9, I tried to highlight some of the areas that, as we've been going over this last year, that we've been assisting counties with the most. Like Mr. Gilman said, the V10 process, we actually have a new form. It just went live last week, so I'm going to demo that in a second. We're hoping in the next year or two to kind of pilot what some of our counties are doing for their reference system, to where the V10 will actually be an email that is sent to the employer and it's filled out. So a lot of your counties are already doing this for the references. We love what your counties are doing, so we're trying to incorporate that into some of our process and make it more automated rather than just sending forms out and having them notarized. So I'll show off the new form in a second. Like Mr. Gilman said, the basic skills test is a huge part of the hiring process. There are 2 exceptions. If they come in as a already certified teacher, or if they have a master's degree level. I'm going to go over what our industry certifications looks like from our testing and endorsement manual. And also, we always need to make sure that we are looking at the most up-to-date document, because those do change periodically. So our new V10 looks like this. We eliminated the column that was coming down the middle that made 3 different sections. I think that was mostly our fault, coming from the department, where they didn't know which signature they were notarizing. So we went ahead and solved that problem by getting rid of it. So it really emphasizes that you are notarizing part 2 and not part 1. I would also like to say the WVDE coordinator is something that's handled in this office. One of the things that I tried to let our administrators and our HR people know, that all of our V10s are actually verified by the coordinator that oversees that program of study. So if you are going for an instructor for their welding, when the V10 is submitted, I will make sure that it meets all the requirements and then send it to the coordinator that has the privilege of overseeing the welding program of study. They will verify. A lot of the times that does require a phone call or an email to the company. Once they receive that back, I get their signature on the new V10, then we'll put it in the file. So that way we have covered all of our bases through the process. So we're really excited for this new V10, and we're really excited to hopefully get this electronics. So that way it's an email and it's coming right back to us. Try to speed up the hiring process. So we all hit on the testing and endorsement manual, and Mr. Gilman wanted me to hit on where we can find that, since we always say that it's up to date. We keep them, we try to stay up with industry standards, industry certifications, and anything that our state government is making changes to. We try to make sure that we are meeting the requirements and the certifications that our teachers have and that they need and our students need when they go out in industry. So if you go to our homepage and scroll all the way down to the bottom, there's actually a button for certification right on the homepage. So once you click on that, it's going to bring you to the certification landing page. And if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, it says CTE Endorsement and Testing Manual. When you click on that, it's going to bring up all of our testing and endorsement manuals for the past 5 to 6 years. We keep them up there so you can see some of the older ones, but we always want to make sure that we are clicking on the top, which is the current testing and endorsement manual that we are operating on from the state and county level. When you click on that, you're actually going to see this is just a little snippet of our valid industry credential showing on the far left. If a NOCD exam is required, like it is for 7317, if you have 1 year to earn the industry credential, like there is for 7185, or like Mr. Gilman said, if they have to already have that before they can go through the process. So this document allows you to understand as you're going through the hiring process, do they need to come in with it? Are they given 1 year, or is there a NOCD that goes along with that endorsement for the teacher that's going through the process? So once they go through the V9, and like Mr. Gilman says, they have signed up to start the teacher prep program, they've taken their basic skills test, they've hit the permit level, and they have their valid industry credentials. Depending on when they come into the Marshall teacher prep program, they're possibly going to have to renew for 1, 2, 3, or up to 5 years to finish that process. So for that, they're going to fill out another V9 again. So to renew your permit, you're going to keep filling out V9s. Please remember that every time you do that, I have to have an updated transcript that has the grades. So one of the things that I've been working with our HR coordinators and directors at the county is really emphasizing to our teachers, check mark whole transcripts until grades are transcribed. So if you talk to any of your teachers, because many of times they go, well, I'm done with the class. Well, they might be finished with the class in May, but May 1st, but Marshall doesn't transcribe those grades until May 20th. So then I end up getting them with class in progress, and they have to spend another $20, $25, $30 to send another transcript when grades are transcribed. So please tell your teachers, we're trying to save them some money in this process. Make sure they check mark wait until grades are transcribed when you go through that. Like Mr. Gilman said, make sure that we are in the 5 year. It is in policy now. In this slide, it does show exactly where you can find it in policy. And it was one of those that when they went back and looked, we were aligned with professional. So they made sure that the CareerTech teaching endorsement aligned with the professional. So I thought that was a really, that was a big change that we needed to notify all of you all of. So once we have completed the Marshall Teacher Prep Program and we have went through all of this, this is now the time that all of our teachers love, because they go from permit to certificate, and now they're on a 5-year cycle instead of every year having to go through the process and having to pay that portion of money and get the paperwork done. So just like I have highlighted here, we've completed the Marshall Teacher Prep Program. Myself or Mr. Gilman will make sure we get that sign off on the V7. So please Don't have your county worry about it. Don't have your teacher worry about it. You don't have to worry about it. Submit it to us. We will get that bottom signature that says, you know, your instructor completed their stuff, and we will get that taken care of. Again, and I know I keep harping on the transcripts. That's one of the things that I've really seen this year is make sure they have it as completed for the 18 hours with the credit. I will also say another thing that we've really been working with our instructors is if it's required when you are hired for the valid industry credential, it's required during their entire teaching education as long as they are teaching that program or study or with that endorsement. So if they come in and it's an expired, so the A+ expires every 3 years. So when they come in, when they go to renew, myself or Mr. Gilman is going to ask for a valid industry credential that shows that it's active. So we need to make sure that our teachers are keeping their certifications or industry credentials active. So that's one of the things when we ask for them, you know, they have to go and say, oh, I didn't know, you know, and they have to go back and make sure that they keep them active. If you have any questions about that, please have them reach out to their coordinators or myself, and we'll make sure that we assist with that. The other thing, and I always have to remind our teachers of this, and I forgot to say it on our V9s, even though I had it highlighted, until they pay their fees, that document is not forwarded to us. So they will get an initial hold notice that says they need to pay their fees. Until they pay the fee online, there is nothing that Mr. Gilman or myself can do because they will not send those to us until the fees are paid. So please remind your instructors. Some of our counties, this is a unique idea and it is a county by county, but some of our counties requires the instructor to pay for the document before they upload it. And then they also have them attach a receipt of what they paid in that package, just in case they accidentally paid for the wrong form. We can go in and note, oh, they accidentally selected a V7R instead of a V7 or vice versa. And then our certification office can work to correct that issue. So we've seen those as we've been going through this process. So this will allow a teacher to go from their 1-year permit to 5. So now they're at the point that they need to renew. So after their initial 5, they're going to go through the renewal process. That's a V7R, R for renewal. Just like Mr. Gilman said, there's 2 ways to do that. We can do the 6 college credit hours. Traditionally, that's 2 courses. And I will plug a lot of our coordinators' courses. One of the big pushes that I've been really proud of the coordinators in this office is that they're starting to do a lot of summer courses. I know James Coble behind me over here is doing an amazing training for our machine tool teachers and our Project Lead the Way sim teachers this summer, where they're also going to earn college credit. I know Deanna's in the process getting ready to announce an amazing class that's coming through. Tara does a great class. James and myself was in it. We really enjoyed it for individuals that's wanting to add the CTE administrative license to their certificate. So these are classes that are through the department that they can get the credit hours, but also remember that they can do 2 e-learn courses that are free. So it's not that they always have to go through the college route and they, you know, possibly have to pay. We do have the 2 e-learn courses, and there are some really good e-learn courses that if a teacher wants a recommendation, please have them reach out to myself or their coordinators, because I know some of our coordinators have some e-learn courses that are specific to their program of study. Also remember, if they have a master's plus 30 salary classification and an earned master's. So I highlighted that because sometimes that causes some confusion to where an instructor says, oh, I'm paid at the master's 45, and they apply for their renewal. They have to hold an earned master's degree. So please make sure when you are working with them that they understand that just because they're at the master's 45 salary classification, that does not mean that they'll automatically renew. They still have to hold that master's or go back up to the top portion and either do 2 e-learns or 6 college semester hours. The other one is they can be 60 years or older, and we can validate that with a birth certificate or a driver's license, a valid driver's license. And again, on all of these, they still have to have their valid industry credentials when they come back to renew with the V7R. So when they go to apply and they want to go from renewing every 5 years to finally I'm permanent, I'm done. I was ecstatic when I got to go permanent. I know many of our teachers are. They can again do option 1, which means they've renewed their 5 years twice. So that means that you've went through, filled out the V7R to renew. Now we're going through it again. And they still have to have the same requirements every time. So it's 2 additional classes. So we always try to tell them when you do your 2 classes, it's within that 5-year permit. So if my 5 years started in 2016 and I'm up for renewal now, my classes had to be taken during that 5 years. So they have to go through that process. Or again, 2 eLearns courses, or the 60 years of older, again with driver's license, valid industry credentials are always required. Or if they haven't earned masters, we can jump them after their initial 5 to directly to permanent. But again, valid industry credentials required along this entire way. The other thing that I want to hit on before I go to what a hold notice looks like is please remember that their 18 college prep hours, their teacher prep hours cannot be used to renew. So these are additional classes above the 18. And I will plug our Marshall Teacher Prep program. They have some really amazing classes that they can go back and continue their education with. If they choose to stay with Marshall University, they can go to any institution. But I'm just saying they do have some amazing classes that if a teacher is wanting to continue their education with that institution that they were already enrolled in, that's also a possibility. So hopefully we've went through this process and we don't end up getting one of these, but if we do, Mr. Gilman wanted me to go over what a hold notice looks like. So if we get a V9, V7, V7R, or V14, and we're missing something in the process, we're going to send out a hold notice. This is the email that you're going to see on the left, which says this is the first time that we're sending this email out. And then at the bottom, it's going to say why or what we're missing. So if there's something that, the V10, you didn't have enough work experience, like Mr. Gilman said, how many hours are required or how many years, it's going to have that on there, or if it's a endorsement that we're missing, you filled out the V9 and there's not an endorsement listed, that's going to be sent back that we need to add the endorsement to it. So just anything through the process. The one thing that we try to tell everybody is when we send the first hold notice, you're given 30 days. When we send the second hold notice, you're given another 30 days. After that, it will be denied. But please remember, you have 30 days to appeal that denial. So if there is something through the process, I make mistakes. Rick doesn't, but I've made them, so I will admit to those. If I made a mistake through this process, please have your instructor appeal the process and say, hey, this has been turned in. Or did these classes not count? Or have you not received my transcripts? Please have your instructor reach out to us. So that way we can go back and see possibly where the communication fell on our side. So that way we can get it addressed and we can get these teachers highly qualified, certified instructors within your classes. So please have them reach out at any point during this. Also, when these emails are sent out, our office number is at the bottom. Have them call. I'm always available on Teams, but if, have them call our office and we'll walk them through whatever we're missing, what we need in the process for that. The last form, and this is a lot of the times one of the most important forms to our instructors, so I really want to spend some time on this. When an instructor goes from permit to certificate, so they have finished the teacher prep program, they filled out that V7, now we can get to a V14. Let's get these instructors, the salary increments that they are available for, and let's get them to the pay that, they've earned and that they've deserved. So once we fill out that V7, I have some counties that do the V7 and the V14 at the same time. Your V14 just won't be processed until the V7 is approved. That's okay. But, so as soon as that V7's in and we've approved it and they went from permit to certificate, let's start looking at the V14 to where we can see what we can get our instructors approved for, and we can get them to additional hours plus hours along the entire way. Again, through this entire process, we have to have an official seal-bearing transcript so that way we can validate the V14. I'm going to skip down, since I said the transcript, to the next tab. Again, they cannot use the 18 hours of the teacher prep program for the salary increase. That is one of the things that we deal with a lot in this office is we'll get somebody that puts in a plus 15 and they'll try to use the 18 hours from the Marshall teacher prep program. That is specifically in policy. That is not an us call. That is, that is in policy that you cannot use the 18 hours that you have from preparation. From your teacher prep program, from permit to certificate. But there is something called an occupational update, and I'm actually going to go ahead and throw that form into our chat. And as they go through and as they attend trainings, that might not, so if they attend a Project Lead the Way training, if they attend a code.org training, I'm IT as you can tell, if they attend one of those, they can actually fill this form out that has been attached in the chat, so please make sure we download them, and send it to the coordinator. The coordinator will review, send it to Marshall, and we can see what we can do about getting some of those occupational update trainings that they're attending transcribed, so that way they can start using those as plus hours. I highlighted in this presentation, they can only use 6 occupational update hours for every plus 15. So example, if Mr. Coble, and I use James for all of my examples, if James Coble is at a bachelor's pay and James is trying to go to a bachelor's 15, he can use 6 occupational updates plus 9 transcribed credits. So he took 3 classes. Now Mr. Coble can go to a bachelor's plus 15. When he goes to a master's, he can use a different 6 plus 9 to go to a master's pay. So every plus 15, and there was one county, I wish I could remember, that did this amazing. They would keep the 6 for every 9. Even if the instructor came in with 20 hours, they would only put down 15 and then put down 9 and add the 6. So that way that instructor was utilizing those occupational updates every plus 15 along the way. So that is a huge benefit to our instructors within the CTE field, is being able to use these occupational update hours, getting them transcribed, so that way we can get them their plus hours that they deserve, and they do an amazing job. So I really want to make sure we get them to the pay that they should be at. And that's the one thing that we really want to work with and get them to. So I stayed right on task. That is something I tried to make sure that we utilize within here. And I actually have 2 minutes left in my presentation. I would like to say the PowerPoint and the PDF of the presentation and the occupational update is already in the chat. So please, as I've went through this and you're like, man, it'd have been nice to have that link, it is in the chat. So download the PDF, download the PowerPoint and the occupational update. I'd also like to say, if you would like for Mr. Gilman or myself to do a PD with your instructors, send us an email. We really enjoy working with the instructors. I know a lot of the time, the V14 is the big one that we're really trying to assist them with. Have them reach out to us. We would love to do one with the instructors so that way we can get them to the pay that they deserve and that they need. So I will mute myself, Nathan, and you can take it back over and I will stop sharing.
Outstanding job, Tim, man. You had a lot of stuff to cover and was able to quickly and efficiently get that in there. Any questions for Tim? Tim, right now, nothing's showing up in the chat and nobody's unmuted to speak up, man. So I think everything is fine there. Please note there, here we go. Tanya Ferguson's got a quick question there for you. Tim, can you see it or do you need me to read it for you?
I can see it. Give me 1 second. So if it is a renewal, it would be a V7R, but you also will want to have your instructor reach out to Mr. Coble because we have added some advanced salaries that your advanced credentials, I apologize, not advanced salaries. We have added some advanced credentials under the Project Lead the Way that your instructor might qualify for. So we would need to go